Sales celebration.
All day, every day,
Saturday on Heartbeat.
Now it's the time for the young.
Kate's got the decision of her life.
I just don't think we could work together.
But what will she do?
Do I join Ferrenby or take the job in Middlesbrough?
Don't skip a vital Heartbeat. 7:30 Saturday.
Prime Television, helping Newcastle celebrate 200 years. Happy birthday, Newcastle.
Seven Nightly News with Chris Bath.
John Howard stands firm on greenhouse gases. 9 tourists killed in a bus attack. And Laurie Daly, Super League's Player of the Year. Good evening. Prime Minister John Howard has been deserted in the Cook Islands by his Air Force flight crew. They've flown to Tahiti looking for better accommodation. But Mr Howard isn't worried about the RAAF's $50,000 Joy flight. He's too busy locking horns with our South Pacific neighbours over greenhouse gas emissions.
The forum's official opening, a burst of floral festivity. The underlying message, save the environment.
Sometimes we, the ordinary people, have to get up and say, no, this is wrong.
But even that plea's not enough to change Australia's firm opposition to legally binding targets for greenhouse gas emissions.
We can't, for obvious national interest reasons, Australia mandatory targets.
There are 16 countries here at the forum, and there's a small but powerful bloc angry at Australia for 2 reasons: our stand on greenhouse gas emissions and that leaked government document that criticises the South Pacific. Now there are fears those countries might retaliate by voting against Melbourne's bid for the 2006 Commonwealth Games. But Mr Howard's announced a sporting sweetener for the region. The Olympic torch will pass through the Pacific on its way to the Sydney 2000 Games.
It's not just an Australian event, it's also an Oceania event.
In the Cook Islands, Elise Mooney, 7 Nightly News.
Unions are claiming a waterfront victory after a Cairns shipping company today agreed to re-employ sacked union members. The Maritime Union says the change of heart is an embarrassment for industrial related to waterfront reform.
The war on the Cairns waterfront reached flashpoint. Ship to be handled by non-union labour was on its way, but was ordered to delay its arrival in port. That was followed by intense negotiations over the phone and then a breakthrough.
The dispute's over, and we're going to pull down the tent.
The US company, which had turned to non-union labour, had backed down in the face of a row which threatened to spread to other ports.
This is a breakthrough for all workers in the country who want to belong to a union.
The MUA's victory on the Cairns waterfront has averted what could have been an ugly confrontation between unions across Australia and the Howard government. Waterside workers here now say Canberra will have to reassess its thinking on industrial relations.
If they couldn't have won this in Cairns, they've got no hope of defeating us anywhere else.
It's a victory for the workers of Australia, and I tell you what, it's a defeat for Mr Reid.
The reinstated union stevedores will return to work immediately. Further negotiations with the company will take place next week.
Up to 9 people are dead and at least 19 others injured after a grenade attack on a tourist bus in Cairo. Most of the casualties were German. The bus had arrived at the city's Egyptian museum when gunmen opened fire and threw 3 grenades. Riot police cordoned off the area. 3 gunmen were arrested. They're believed to be members of a Muslim militant group which has been fighting to overthrow the government since 1992. A senior judge will investigate claims that New South Wales Premier Bob Carr was involved in a pedophile cover-up. Labor MP Franca Arena stunned the state's parliament yesterday when she claimed the Premier was part of a conspiracy to protect high-profile offenders. Today, Mrs Arena was censured by her own party.
The Premier says the special inquiry by a judge will demand that Franca Arena account for her sensational conspiracy allegations.
Well, what about proof? What about evidence? What about some hard facts?
She's alleged under parliamentary privilege that Mr Carr conspired with Royal Commissioner James Wood and other political figures to cover up for big-name pedophiles.
She's accused me of a criminal conspiracy. Everything she has said is absolutely false.
She also names opposition leader Peter Collins, former Labor State President, now Justice Terry Sheehan, and Labor State Secretary John Della Bosca.
I believe this is due to the fact that it was decided it was too damaging for the whole community to have members of parliament and judges exposed, and so the whole matter was swept under the carpet.
Peter Collins calls it a despicable pack of lies.
Who will she seek to assassinate tomorrow? Who will be the next target of her poisonous fabrications?
Justice Sheehan and John Della Bosca also deny there were any meetings. She's also alleged that one politician used Parliament House as his private red light district, that other MPs frequented the infamous wall in Darlinghurst. But she's refusing to repeat the claims outside Parliament.
We don't have a lot of money, and I don't want to spend what I've got in lawyers, so you will understand.
And Franca Arena won't answer questions. But a few minutes later, she faced a special meeting of Labor MPs called to censure her. It's understood she declared, "There are pedophiles in this room." Jim Mark, 7 Nightly News.
The head of Queensland's Criminal Justice Commission, Frank Clare, says he'll sit on the new board of the state's new crime commission, despite his vocal opposition to the body. He maintains the new commission will damage the independence of the CJC.
Under attack over plans to set up a crime commission, the police minister today had a clear message for his critics.
Wake up, grow up, get mature, and get on board, and we can...
Mr Cooper met for an hour this morning with one of the more outspoken opponents, Frank Clare, who believes the new commission is a waste of money. But the CJC boss has agreed to join its board of management.
I've got no problems if the crime commission proceeds in sitting on the board.
Mr Cooper is determined the crime commission will proceed. Was blunt about what would have happened if Mr Clare failed to cooperate.
What do you do in those circumstances? What do you normally do? Say, well, I don't want to be on it, therefore we'll say, OK, we'll find someone who will.
Mr Clare wants to settle the dust with a Fitzgerald-style meeting of political leaders, but he isn't backing away from attacking the government's motives for the changes.
To cut back significantly on the ability of the CJC to operate as an independent and effective anti-corruption body.
The Attorney-General knows that the CJC will have to cop it sweet when the laws are passed. And for someone who has ignored a parliamentary vote of no confidence, he made this ironic statement.
At the end of the day, we're all accountable to Parliament.
Mike Darcy, 7 Nightly News.
Police have charged a teenage couple with the murder of a 14-year-old boy near Perth. Richard Leach and Tammy Sherritt, both aged 19, were originally charged with stealing James Godden's trail bike. Today, police added a murder charge. A massive search was launched when James failed to return from a trail bike ride near his Byford home last week. His body was found 3 days later in a nearby gully. He'd been strangled. His funeral will be held tomorrow. Thousands of customers are jamming switchboards at Flybuys offices around the country, trying to redeem points ahead of the scheme's deadline. But the delay isn't the only concern for people anxious to fly for free.
That's the response Flyby customers have been getting for 2 weeks now when they've tried to book trips with their reward points.
It's just been disgusting. For 2 weeks I've been trying to get through, from 8 in the morning till 9 in the evening, which is what it says on the form.
Flyby's parent company confirms it's been experiencing a switchboard meltdown.
Any member that has experienced delays, certainly we'd apologise, but the measures that we've now got in place to cope with the amount of calls involving additional people, extended hours of operation, will more than cope with the increased demand.
Unused Flyby points expire after 3 years, so people are rushing to cash in. They've also been rushing into debt. Latest figures show Australians have a $13 billion credit card bill.
People are being tempted to spend their money, and they're doing so. And one of the things they're spending their money on is these reward programs.
If you're one of the thousands who have been trying to get through to Flybuys and you still haven't, put your request in writing or fax it to them. Flybuys have guaranteed to us that you won't lose your points in the delay. Helen Wellings, 7 Nightly News.
Greenpeace has issued a warning on plastic toys, claiming they could be making our children sick. It says toys that contain PVC have a high level of toxins, but the Australian Toy Association says they're safe.
soft, squishy and made from PVC, they're the kind of toys kids love to chew on. But Greenpeace says they're also dangerous.
Because what we found was that the majority of soft PVC toys contain between 10 and 40% by weight of harmful additives called phthalates.
It claims children are swallowing chemicals when they suck or chew on the toys that could cause kidney damage or reproductive problems. All of them toys designed for babies and toddlers.
Like this teether that's designed to be chewed by children is almost 1/3 of these toxic phthalates.
Already, several European countries have taken PVC toys like these off the market. Greenpeace wants Australia to do the same. But the Australian Toy Association denies PVC toys are harmful.
Over the years, PVC, as the most widely tested plastic, is completely safe for its use in toys.
The toys won't be coming off the shelves, but Greenpeace is pressuring the government for action. Sonia Wilkes, 7 Nightly News.
Ahead in the news, an Australian aid worker trapped in a civil war. And a farewell to a Hollywood funny man.
Soon on Prime, get ready for a ride. FX The Series is about to explode. Cameron Daddo in the all-new heart-racing adventure. Mystery, magic and make-believe.
You set me up for murder.
FX The Series, soon on Prime Television.
If teeth were straight and gums were hard, then any old-fashioned stiff brush could clean them. But teeth are curved and gums are soft, which is why McLean's designed the new Flex Direct. Flex, because its flexible neck cushions the pressure, as McLean's famous tomato test will show, to make it gentle on gums. And Direct, because it's the only brush with a pivoting head, which directs it into those awkward spots. McLean's Flex Direct. It cleans teeth brilliantly, and it's gentle on gums.
It has become very clear that Heron paracetamol is just as effective and easy on the stomach as the leading brand. And Heron is Australian-made and owned. So when it comes to temporary pain relief, thank heavens for Heron.
This is my dad, and he makes bread. My dad makes bread too. My dad makes special bread. My daddy makes pumpkin bread. My dad makes,
Defiance Quality Foods now has a complete range of bread mixes, so you can make loaves and rolls so special, your family will think you make bread for a living.
My dad makes hot bread.
Even if you have a healthy diet, things like stress, natural aging and overindulgence can cause an imbalance of bacteria in the digestive system. Yakult in your daily diet provides enough beneficial bacteria to help keep your digestive system balanced and working efficiently. Yakult. Have you had yours today?
Join in the fun as Joyce Main hits the big 4-0. This huge capacity G frost-free fridge loaded with features in a choice of colours, just $4,995. Celebrate our 40th, pay nothing till June next year. Joyce Main at the 9 Ways, Broadmeadow.
Be watching Prime tomorrow night between 7:30 and 8:30 for your chance to win a $300 Retrovision voucher and be in the draw to win a holiday to Tasmania. Have your catalogue handy and watch and win tomorrow night with Retrovision and Prime Television.
Yakult in your daily diet provides enough beneficial bacteria to help keep your digestive system balanced and working efficiently. Yakult. Have you had yours today?
Police will use dental records to identify 4 people killed in last night's explosive tanker crash in Queensland. The petrol and diesel tanker collided with a car west of Brisbane, both vehicles bursting into flames. The fireball could be seen up to 45 kilometres away. 3 women and a man, believed to have been from the same family, were incinerated. The tanker driver escaped injury. He was thrown clear of the explosion. A Sydney woman has been caught in the bitter war still raging in Afghanistan. Susie Lowe had been working with an aid organisation in the north of the country. She's now been forced into hiding.
We had some disappointing news today.
Greg Lowe has watched his wife Susie head into war zones before, but he's never been as worried as this.
So the situation's, is really quite serious, and especially for females in a war zone in a country like this. It's very dangerous indeed.
For 3 weeks, Susie, Melbourne Dr. Brian Rowley and 6 colleagues have endured scenes like this in Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan, hiding in a bunker while armed looters rampage outside, looking for one thing.
One of their first questions is there women there?
One female aid worker has already been raped.
3 of us who are women must stay within sight of each other at all times.
Susie's been an aid worker for 10 years. She has 5 children.
They're concerned. I mean, you could not be, as I am. I think they're a great support for me. They really are. They're good kids.
From her colleagues here in Australia.
Susie is there. We are concerned for her safety and we hope she comes home soon.
And Foreign Affairs says the United Nations has sent troops in to try and reach Susie, but even for them, the warfare's simply been too intense to get close. Right now, there's little to cling to.
If you believe in God, you pray that they will get out, and if you don't believe in God, you hope they'll get out.
Chris Reason, 7 Nightly News.
More than 100 countries meeting in Norway have signed an international treaty banning the use of landmines. But major military powers, Russia, China and the United States, won't be part of the deal.
It was the Princess of Wales' dying wish that the world should be rid of the scourge of landmines, which kill and cripple so many innocent people. Today in Oslo, 100 countries agreed, signing an international treaty. But there was one big omission.
Unfortunately, as it is now drafted, I cannot in good conscience add America's name to that treaty.
It was just what campaigners in Oslo did not want to hear. His defence is the demilitarised zone between North and South Korea. 1 million US landmines lie between the communist North and the 37,000 US troops which help protect the South.
But there is a line that I simply cannot cross, and that line is the safety and security of our men and women in uniform.
America is not the only holdout. Also a no-show, Russia and China, and in the Middle East, Iran and Iraq. As a result, it will be years before the Oslo Treaty makes an impact, if ever. More than 100 million mines are scattered throughout 70 countries at this moment. 2,000 civilians, many of them children, are killed or maimed every month. In the United States, Michael Gleeson, 7 Nightly News.
The Welsh have begun voting in a historic referendum to determine whether they want their first elected parliament in 600 years. Wales was annexed to England in 1536 and hasn't had its own assembly since. Any parliament would be formed in the capital, Cardiff. It would be made up of 60 members and oversee a budget and public services for 3 million people. It follows a similar ballot in Scotland last week, in which the country voted overwhelmingly for its own assembly. One of Hollywood's favourite clowns, Red Skelton, has died in California at the age of 84. The comic actor from a circus background began in vaudeville as a teenager and went on to make more than 40 film comedies. His long-running Red Skelton show delighted television audiences for 20 years. His memorable characters included Freddie the Freeloader and Clem Cadiddlehopper. Amid rumours of another interest rate cut, the ANZ Bank has been the first to take the plunge. It'll drop its fixed home loan interest rates from next Monday. The bank's 1-year fixed rate falls to 6.25%, while its 3-year fixed rate drops to 6.99%. On the market today, the All Ordinaries rose 17 points, the Dow lost 9. Investors moved out of resources stocks and into banks, NAB rocketing 60 cents, the Commonwealth 41 and ANZ up 15. Westfield soared $1.70, CSR rose 16 and ICI 31 cents. The Aussie dollar is at 71.52 US, 86.55 against the yen and 44.56 pence. Gold is at $320.40 and there were gains all round for the FT100, the Nikkei and the Hang Seng up 8 points to 14,419. Sport is next after the break, including our Davis Cup squad playing tourists in Washington. And Super League's Player of the Year.
Look who's made it into the 90s.
It's me, our new home.
Australia's funniest legend steps into a whole new world.
Falcon? No, don't take the Falcon. Why? It's only a Ford.
He's always politically correct.
Henry Ford was a poof.
And generous to a fault.
Leave your money on the fridge.
He has a special way with animals.
Oh, I love that bloody cat.
And irresistible to women.
Go, brave, brave.
Get a load of Bullfit.
You're a legend. action!
Coming soon, the all-new series of Bull Pits on Prime.
Now in cinemas everywhere, Hercules. Disney's legendary new movie adventure has inspired the creation of McDonald's epic new burger. Colossus. Layers of beef and melting cheese, topped with rashers of sizzling smoked bacon. McDonald's Colossus Burger. The stuff legends are made of.
Fed up with clothes that don't fit? Well, Kmart guarantees consistent sizing across all its ranges. So get into Kmart. You're sure to find just what you need.
BG's. The success continues. Alone, the new hit single from the smash album Still Waters. Get it now.
Avoiding accidents isn't easy, even if you're a good driver. At Amy, we recognise good drivers and reward them with a maximum no-claim bonus for life. That's right, for life, no matter how many accidents you have. Ask Amy now for more details, before it's too late.
Lucky you're with Amy.
There's the Bikey Barn and the Old American Barn, the Quakers Barn, and the new release vertical clad barn, just $6,500. There's the single garage, the double garage, just $2,550. Or for a limited time, the double garage with a 5-meter door and remote, only $2,995. So for garages and carports, make sure it's our high-tech designs. Call 131328 and buy a shed from your local mate.
8 o'clock Tuesday.
Don't dream about it, do it.
Discover a whole new world without leaving your lounge room.
In the great outdoors.
8 o'clock Tuesday.
The big names in Super League were out in Brisbane tonight for the competition's inaugural Player of the Year award. Each Super League club nominated one player, with Brisbane's Kevin Walters and Penrith's Ryan Girdler the favourites to take the honour. But it was Canberra's Laurie Daly who walked away with the medal. Brisbane's Wayne Bennett was named Coach of the Year. Super League will now focus on Saturday night's grand final between Brisbane and Cronulla. A soccer player has been banned from the sport for life after being found guilty of striking a referee. Dubbo player Brendan Chapman was wrestled and repeatedly punched referee Daryl Hines during a match in Dubbo last weekend. The ref was led from the ground with cuts to his face. Police later charged Chapman with assault causing actual bodily harm. The local soccer chief says it's the worst incident he's seen in 40 years. American Davis Cup captain Tom Gullickson is still to confirm whether he'll play big-serving Todd Martin in this weekend's doubles. But the Australians don't seem too worried, taking advantage of the perfect Washington weather.
It was a gathering of legends. Our newest heroes stood alongside the men who dominated the Davis Cup a generation ago.
I'm happy that the rivalry's come back between the United States and Australia. It's something that we cherished when we played.
This was the last official function for our team, a reception at the home of Australia's ambassador, Andrew Peacock. He was part of the lobby group which pushed for the semi-final to be played in Washington.
I said, Andrew, you tell your American friends, we will play them anywhere, anytime, any place, and anyone they want to put in the team.
And it wouldn't be a Washington party without a Kennedy.
We're going to have a tough time, the U.S. is, against you. It's going to be a moral victory if we get a set or two.
For Patrick, at least, there'll be one extra supporter. His mother has travelled from Brisbane to watch her son hopefully make history.
The thing about Davis Cup is, you know, it's the boys and it's a team thing, so we all stick together, and my mum knows that.
Well, the Australians are playing for national pride. The Americans, it seems, are playing for dollars. To lure their top players, tennis officials here have increased the appearance fee by as much as 4 times.
America was founded on the entrepreneurial spirit, really, and this might be one case of it coming to the forefront a little bit, but really the players aren't playing for the money.
Tomorrow, the Australians will have a quiet day before the first rubber on Saturday. In Washington, John Vors, 7 Nightly News.
Experienced co-driver Derek Warwick is tipping Peter Brock to take out this year's Bathurst 1000, but Brocky and Warwick's Vauxhall Vectra will have to withstand a powerful challenge from World Touring Car aces John Cleland and Paul Radisich.
We're actually looking forward to this
British
race.
drivers Derek Warwick and John Cleland may be the best of mates off the track, but Cleland's advice for a breakdown at the top of Mount Panorama was far from friendly.
That he must not go left and beside the alligators and the snakes, but he must go up among the crowd on the right-hand side, because they'll warm to him and they'll love him. And with any luck, they'll eat him.
Making his debut at Bathurst, Warwick heads the overseas contingent and has enormous responsibility as Peter Brock's co-driver.
It's something that I'd like on my CV. Hopefully complete with Brocky's 10th win.
Brock confessing the recent split in the sport has given him the motivation to achieve double figures.
You know, you don't go fooling around with those sorts of things. It's a major part of Australian motor race, or should say sporting scene, and it's had a some sort of bearing on my decision to retire.
Paul Gregg, 7 Nightly News.
Now time to check on the ski conditions. Here's Amber Higlett in the ski fields.
Another mild spring day in the mountains, perfect for working on that summer tan, not so good for the snow conditions. The upper slopes are the best, so the tip is to head high. Take a look at some of the action and excitement from this week's Carnival Week here in Thredbo, while I check out conditions around New South Wales. In Thredbo, the cover is good to fair with the best conditions up high. Merritt, Central Spur and Carroll's the Pick, 11 lifts operating. Perisher Blue has a good to fair cover across most of the resort, thinning in high traffic areas. Side Saddle, Bloody Mary and the Hyper Trail the best, 49 lifts operating. And in Selwyn Snowfields, the cover is poor with no skiing and boarding until further snowfalls. No lifts are open there. So bring the sunnies and the sunscreen if you're heading this way. I hope to see you here enjoying the sunshine. This is Amber Higlett in Thredbo for 7 Nightly News.
This snow report brought to you by Toyota RAV4.
And now to the weather around the country. On the satellite, low-level cloud covers much of eastern New South Wales. Skies are clear, though, in the west and in the north. A high over Tasmania is ridging up the New South Wales coast, while rain will become more widespread over the southeast of the continent. In Queensland, isolated showers likely. Cairns sunny, though, 28 degrees. Mackay partly cloudy and 25. Bundaberg, 26 degrees. Some rain in Brisbane, 23. More rain in Bourke, a top of 19 degrees. Rain also in Tamworth, 15 there. 16 in Sydney. Melbourne, partly cloudy and 19. Down in Tassie, Hobart, partly cloudy and a top of 15 degrees, the top. In Sale, a partly cloudy day, 18 degrees, shared also by Bendigo. Some rain in Mount Gambier, a top of 16. Rainy day in Adelaide forecast, a top of 19 degrees there, and some rain in Whyalla too. Partly cloudy in Perth, a top of 21 degrees, 22 in Geraldton and Kalgoorlie. In Broome, a top of 29 degrees and another perfect sunny day forecast. In the Alice, a few storms around, a top temperature of 29 degrees. Tennant Creek, 34, and Darwin, sunny and 32. And finally, if you're craving a new challenge, have a go at this. It's the Whitewater World Championships held at Zimbabwe's Victoria Falls. This year, the big thrill was raft bungee jumping. They are kidding. Other events included the Rapid Rodeo, which produced a spectacular flip by the Mexican team, complete with sombreros. The world title went to Slovenia with a few friends on board by the looks of things. And that's the news for now. Our next bulletin is sunrise at 6 a.m. We'll leave you tonight with Toowoomba's famous Carnival of the Flowers. I'm Chris Barth. Good night.
Television, helping Newcastle celebrate 200 years. Happy birthday, Newcastle.
Captain's